Hello, I'm Mike Brown, and thank you for tuning into the Shaping Your Minds TV show. I'm known around the city from radio, plays, as a drummer musician, a film extra, and I host the show, and I will be gearing my shows into play format in the future. But enough about me. The Shaping Your Minds TV show has been around for 16 years since 2005. It is a wonderful show for youth to be mentored. The show is partnered today with Stairway to Greatness. And if you'd like to be a mentor yourself, if you are interested, please email us at symtvshow@gmail.com. Again, that's symtvshow@gmail.com. We'll repeat this, or you'll hear this again at the end of the program. Now, for Shaping Your Minds, let's meet our new host.
Hello, and welcome to another segment of Shaping Young Minds television show. This is a national televised show designed to educate and inspire millions of inner city youth and expose them to the greater opportunities of their future. I'm your host, Tyrone Lattimore. I am currently working towards owning my own barbershop in order to build a brighter future for myself. I am currently enrolled in barber college in order to critique the necessary skills in order to become the best barber. Over the coming months, we've been sharing information on many opportunities, including educational resources needed in order to make your dreams come true. And now, before I introduce our guest, let me introduce my co-host, Corneisha Fowler.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Corneisha Fowler, and I am Tyrone's co-host. I am currently working towards obtaining my bachelor's degree in psychology so I can fulfill my lifelong dream of working with troubled youth inside the juvenile justice system. We are beginning a new series in our show, Motivation and Inspiration. So I will be sharing some very empowering and inspiring affirmations for our fellow youth. These things will involve self-care, success in whatever their dream to achieve for themselves, leadership skills, goal setting, self-esteem, and making good choices.
On today's segment of Shaping Young Minds, we have a guest named Eric Arnold, the CEO and Executive Director of Life Builders. How you doing, Eric Arnold?
I'm doing great. How you doing today?
I'm all right. First, can you start off in telling us what is it that you do?
Well, at Life Builders, we are a 501c3 organization, a non-for-profit that works explicitly with at-risk youth.
Okay. And how long have you guys been running?
We've been running for about 12 years. We primarily work in Chicago public school systems.
And why did you choose your profession?
That's a good question. I started working with youth because I seen a need. I saw a need about 25 years ago. I seen that the young people were being rushed into prisons and not having the opportunities to understand that there were different avenues for them. So I started working in the criminal justice system, providing counseling services for at-risk youth who had already at that time were locked up, trying to let them know that there were different ways and better ways for them, and there was a hope for a future.
And what excites you about your job?
And I enjoy working with this population because I remember what it was like to be a young person and not have opportunities or anybody to talk to or anybody to even guide me growing up in the area that I grew up in. And so that excites me to plant the seed into a young person and to see them realize that there's hope for a future, hence Life Builders.
Eric, can I ask you, what is one of your defining moments working with the community?
Sure. Well, the thing that was defining for me was when I was inspired to branch out on my own and work with youth under my own umbrella. Prior to that, I had worked for many organizations around the city of Chicago providing services, but what they wanted me to do was limited. And I felt that I wanted to be beyond being limited to dollars and cents. So I decided to open up my own organization, created where money was not the thing, our goal, but our goal was to be able to help the youth that we were working with.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And what originally started you to your profession? Like, what was the tip of the iceberg to make you want to do what you do today?
Well, my background is in addictions, so I started working with adults in substance abuse counseling, and I found that getting them at that age was not the right place. The place was to start doing more prevention work, and so if I can educate the youth on the perils of getting involved in drugs and alcohol, maybe I can stop a young person from having to go through the 15, 20, 30 years of hell that usually ends up happening when a person becomes addicted to drugs and alcohol.
And what is like the main message to the millions of inner city youth that is seeing like any type of like bad neighborhood or bad situation? What do you have to say to them?
Well, I always inspire young people to educate themselves. That's the key to success. Even when it comes to substance abuse, when it comes to drugs and alcohol, I always tell young people, don't believe me that it has a detrimental ending, but educate yourselves. Educate yourselves about the truth of what drugs really actually do and how it really impacts you. Educate yourself about maintaining and gaining hope for the future. So education is the key.
And our second guest today, we have CEO and Director of Stairway to Greatness, Eric Beatty. So Eric Beatty, would you mind telling me what started you on your journey?
I've been working in the field just such as Eric, 30 years of addiction. I've worked with women with drug-exposed babies. I've worked with adult men. I've worked with also adolescents for 15 years.
And what excites you about your job?
What excites me is the opportunity to see somebody change their life from nothing to something.
And can I ask you as well, what was the defining moment for you in the career field that you chose?
The defining moment for me is once upon a time I had a youth, I was working with Haymarket, adolescents, and I had a youth that was 14 years old, and he was on his way to the juvenile detention center. And I had got to counseling him, and he started believing in me, and he took to what I was saying, and today he's a member of the American Association of Songwriters. He's a rapper, a producer, and right now he's about to cut an album and go to Atlanta. So that's a defining moment for me, to know that when I am planting a seed and I water it, it do grow a beautiful flower.
True mentor to Stairway to Greatness.
Yes, sir.
And I have one more question. As to any city youth, to any millions of inner city youth, what would you tell them about what they're seeing and what problems they're facing in their neighborhoods or their family or anything? What could you tell them to keep them going?
What I would like to tell the youth is everybody was born with a dream and a purpose. Allow yourself to be inspired by what you really want to be. Put the hard work, the dedication in to get the resources that's needed to bring you up from the mires or the confusion or the chaos that you're facing, and always believe in yourself that you can become something.
And there you have it. Thank you guys. Thank our two guests, Eric Arnold and Eric Beatty, CEO and Director of Life Builders. And we have CEO and Director of Stairway to Greatness Mentor and Entrepreneurship, Eric Beatty. I would like to thank the guests. And would you guys tell us, give us a little information on what you guys will be doing, upcoming events, and give us your contact information at anything?
Well, I don't have any coming up events. I have a nonprofit organization. We have a team of mentors that's hands-on. What I like to do is just share with the youth that if they would like to be inspired, cultivated, taught, as well as trained in how to become an entrepreneur, I can be reached on Facebook, Stairway to Greatness. I can also be reached at 773-703-0609. You can call me anytime, and I'm here for anybody that wants to be helped to become somebody.
Well, for us at Life Builders, we don't have any events coming up at this particular time, but we are providing services, like I stated earlier, within the Chicago Public School systems. We have a website, Life Builders, Chicago.com, and our contact number is 773-213-9702. If anyone is interested in learning more about the services that we provide, you can feel free to give me a call, or you can contact us through our webpage. So thank you again.
Good evening. My name is Corneisha Fowler, and I am your co-host for the evening. I'm currently working towards obtaining my bachelor's degree in psychology so I can fulfill my lifelong dream of working with the troubled youth inside the juvenile justice system. And I would like to take the time now to share something that's very motivational and inspiring to me. It's one of my favorite poems. It's the Desiderata by Max Ehrman. Go placidly amidst the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Even to the dull and the ignorant, they too have their stories. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the peace of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham and drudgery and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. Thank you.
have T.O. Hardeman. We have T.O. Hardeman, the president of Violence Interrupters. T.O. Hardeman.
It's an honor to be here with you today, both of you as hosts, and it's just a blessing to be here.
Thank you as well.
First question, could you just tell us about what do you do?
Well, yeah, T.O. Hardeman, I'm the president of Violence Interrupters Incorporated, and it's a violence prevention initiative based on trying to stop, acts of violence before they occur. I have a 40-hour training curriculum where I train violence interrupters, male and females, on how to intercept whispers on the streets in order to get in, like I said, before shots are fired. So far this year, we've mediated around 25 conflicts that could have turned deadly, but we saved lives on the front end. I don't believe in coming every time after somebody gets shot. We're trying to get in and stop it before it turns deadly. Also, the Violence Interrupters is a public health model based on, change in mindsets and behaviors, which is very important. I also ran for governor twice here in the state of Illinois, and I teach as an adjunct professor in the field of criminology and restorative justice. It's just an honor to be with the younger people today to talk about shaping the minds of our young people.
That's amazing.
Yes, indeed.
And what led you on your journey to be a violence interrupter?
Well, I created the Violence Interrupters in 2004, and I grew up in the heart of the ghetto. A lot of times people look at you, say the way you look, you don't look like you've been through a lot of changes, but I grew up in Henry Hunter Projects, and I grew up around 790 Cottage Grove, and it was kind of rough. I mean, seriously, I grew up in absolute poverty, and I seen a lot of my friends get caught up out there, and I was always a stand-up type of guy, and I said to myself, when I was like 17, I used to call myself Black Gold, right? And my motto in life was stay slim and strong, That was my motto back then. But the reality is that, I always wanted to give something back to my people. I was a born revolutionary. It was something in my DNA. Because I tried everything in the world. It always comes back to the movement. So I've been in the movement from birth. So I guess it's an anointing that God gave me, actually, to do the work I'm doing. So I can put my hands on about maybe 300 young people that I've influenced in one way or another over the last 15 years. So it's a natural for me to be who I am.
So one thing, can you give me like a percentage of how much violence how much violence have you decreased or stopped at completely?
Well, I'm also the former director of Ceasefire Illinois over the years, and we have a proven track record. We worked with 1,200 high-risk young people at one time, a few years ago, and we tracked all of the progress with the 1,200 young people. As a matter of fact, we spent 22,000 hours with young people. I had a staff of like 300 staff too, And we spent 22,000 hours with the young people. We mediated about 1,200 conflicts. And back during them years, we saw anywhere from a 25% to 83% reductions in shootings and homicides in some of the communities in which we worked in, because we spent time with the young people. It wasn't like preaching to them. We worked with them, and we helped refer them back to, help them gain employment in some cases, social service, support, and in some cases they re-enroll back in school. And, I went to the heart of the ghetto, man. If you want to stop killing, you have to go to the killers. I mean, real talk. All this talking, surface talk, to me is a bunch of, you just mumbo jumbo. My thing is go talk to the brothers out there. And I must admit, the young brothers always responded pretty good when I was talking to them. I appreciate the young brothers because we couldn't do the work without the young brothers, cooperating. But yes, we have a proven track record. Even today, I work on the near west side of Chicago with my program, and we've gone like 2 or 3 months without any homicides. I'm not taking all the credit. I'm giving the credit to the tribes. I call the brothers tribes. I don't call them street this or that. They tribes. And everybody got their own belief system. But if you see, the thing is, you have to join their world and then bring them into your world. There's nobody talking down to nobody. You have to understand the mindset, because everything is not gang related. It's a lot of interpersonal conflict, and it's all about personal relationships. And no matter how you train somebody to be a violence interrupter, if they don't have the personal relationships with the brothers out there, they will not be successful. Because I know how to talk people down. You got some psychotic people out there, and this work is not for the faint-hearted young lady, or the brother. It's just for people. You got to have some backbone, because nobody just saying they going. Now that's what I said. That's why I said the brother too. I said young lady and brother. I had to be mindful of that, brother. But the thing about it, when you go up into for example, I say this quickly. I just received a call last week. A guy called me. He purchased a house to rehab the house. The former owners did not like the fact that he purchased the house. It's their family house, and the guy shot at him and he missed. The other guy returned fire because he's concealed carry. He missed. So he called me and said, man, we got to work this situation out. These are true stories from the neighborhood. So they told me who the guy was that shot at him. It took me 3 days to catch up with the guy. And I put my antennas up in the community, and I know a lot of young brothers support me. I need y'all to find this guy for me, bring him to the table. So when they caught up with him, they brought him to the table. We sat him down with the new owner of the house, and 1,000 apologies kicked off because he shot at the guy in the name of the gang or the tribe, and the tribe had nothing to do with it.
Right.
So he had to apologize to the tribe, and he had to apologize to that man. And now the man is able to rehab his house because he had set the back of the house on fire. He was really bent on destroying that situation, and also somebody could have lost their life.
Yeah.
So we mediated the conflict. Now everybody's okay. I check on them weekly. That's just one story. I have like 100 stories in my head, young brother. You know, real talking. I've written them down as well. Okay. All right.
And can I ask you
Yeah.
what has been like a defining moment working with the community?
Well, mainly when you see young people that are doing pretty good now, you know, people that turn their lives around, young guys and young women that you've seen they was headed in the wrong direction, and now all of a sudden they might be like 25 or 26 and they're doing good. That's a defining moment right there. It's not even about money for me. It's about the payoff is when you help somebody transform his or her life, and they look at the world in a different way. I tell young people all the time, if you're 17, 18, if you working, even if you're making 25,000 a year, 30, and you know your girl making 30 a year, and I'm not saying everybody got to be hooked up, but if you are, you save one of them salaries every year. 5 years, you got almost 200 G's. So my thing is do things the proper way. See, I grew up on the streets, but I'm not going to tell young guys to run the streets. I'm not going to uphold no players code and no street code. I plan to tell you the truth. That's what I plan to do as a man. So those are defining moments for me, just being straight up, because I was raised okay, but I got a lot of misinformation. And see, you learn from your mistakes, okay? You learn from your mistakes. So I'm not going to tell a guy it's okay to do stuff I know it's not okay. I don't want to see none of them brothers and sisters in the penitentiary, you know, because they got sent off by some knucklehead that didn't know what he was talking about.
Exactly.
And then by the time you're 35, you're looking at this stuff. I listen to this stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so that's my you know, defining moment there.
Good stuff.
So,
Yeah.
so the last question is, if you could speak to the youth. Well, I know you still speak to the youth
Yeah.
to this day. So, but if you still could speak to anyone else that's not physically in your presence, you could speak to them on the show. What would you say to that person that's trying to avoid the streets or avoid the struggle and stay on the right path?
One thing I can tell anybody, just start where you are. Life is not going to be easy all the time. Don't get sent off. Don't let nobody give you no misinformation, and don't act off emotions. Research a situation before you jump out there, because a lot of people wish they can take back the second they made a bad decision, but they cannot. They locked in them penitentiaries 23 hours a day, looking crazy because they got sent off on a mission and not being leaders. Men are leaders, period. Women are leaders too, but men supposed to be leaders. And when you're a leader, you lead people the proper way. It has nothing to do with a tribal leader. It's like a leader in your household. That's your job, period. Do not play games with it. It might sound strong the way I'm saying it, but it's the truth. So that's what I tell anybody young, because there's too many people riding in the penitentiaries. They were fighting for a cause that doesn't exist anymore. And then you talk about selling dope in the black community. People that sell dope, and I'm really in favor of people turning their lives around that sold dope. They got out of jail. They're trying to help the community now. But a dope dealer is really a guy that's pushing poison to his people, to be technical with you. People may not like that, but a dope dealer is a brother that is pushing poison in his community. Because what happens, he doesn't get the dope from another black man. He gets the dope from somebody else that doesn't look like us, and then he bring that dope in our community. It's like you committing treason against your people. But I do understand people go to jail, turn their lives around. But the truth of the story is that that's pushing poison in your community. And providing I was in an African country and I was African king, I wouldn't even tolerate it. You wouldn't even be able to move like that, period. Period. I mean, that's it. All right.
Well, thank you so much for speaking on everything that you spoke on. And next guest and our final guest, we have George Beatty Jr., CEO of Jehovah Jahan. Jehovah Jireh. Outreach administration by Mr. Beatty is one of the frontline fighters of violence and frontline of violence on a daily basis. Frontline fighter of violence on a daily basis. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
First, can you start me on what started you on your journey to being a violence fighter?
Started me on my journey in 2008. My little cousin was gunned down on his birthday because they was robbing a little boy, and the little boy didn't have no money, so they was gonna kill a little boy. And he took off his coat and gave him his money, so they wouldn't kill a little boy. Then they turned around and killed him. 2010, I lost my oldest son talking to somebody else who was in the gang war with somebody else. He had no clue, he took 8 bullets. 2012, I lost my nephew. And after that, I said enough is enough. And the way for me to deal with my pain was to give back, because I didn't want to see any family member, any mother, any, father go through the pain that I went through.
Okay, I would like to ask you, besides the work that you do, what were some other ways that you coped and deal with the trauma of losing 3 close family members back to back like that?
God, allow him to come in, and I had to be in a special place with him, because what people don't understand, you never heal from it, because as soon as you get over losing someone else, losing your person, someone else died, and it opens that wound up. So I had to get deep involved in God and ask him to give me skin of Teflon so I can stand and go out into the streets and make a difference.
Good stuff. And another question I would like to ask you is, what was one of your defining moments with working with the community?
When you go to a community and they say all these guys are troublemakers, and I take those same guys and turn them around. Well, now when I pull up on the block, it's, man, big homie here. Come on, y'all already know what we gonna do. Food pantry time. Or I go to that block and say, hey, listen, you see all this, man, clean up. And they clean up. So it's the relationship that I have with them, and now they're taking that same thing, what I instilled in them, and working with the little guys. So to me, that's awesome.
It is. It truly is.
Man. All right, so what excites you about your work?
Seeing young people, engaging young people, helping them turn their life around, and motivating them and showing them it's a better way to do things. And it's really been a blessing to me when I can go onto a hot spot and take those same guys that can't nobody talk to, and they come out and help me do mobile food pantries in that hot spot.
So, and the last question is, what message do you have to the inner city youth on the fact that, on the violence is high and everybody might be,
One thing I want to say to the men, when the men stand up, boys sit down. Until we take our rightful place in the community, that's the only way we're going to change our community, block by block. And I want to say to the youth, put the guns down. Nobody wins. You take a life, then you lose your life, because when you get caught, you go into jail. So it's a better way to do things. Sit down and talk about it. Stop going off this Facebook media, because that's what's hyping a lot of this stuff up. And basically, that's it.
And I have a question for Mr. Beatty.
Yes.
Mr. Beatty, is it true that you work with a 501c3 not-for-profit?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, it's just a nonprofit organization where we can receive like donations and different things of that nature.
So if someone wanted to network with you all, how would they go about doing that?
They can go to 1STV, that's for Stop the Violence, .org, or they can call me at 224-421-4286.
Okay, so if anyone is looking to work with Mr. Beatty's not-for-profit, that's the information. And the time that we have for today, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I want to thank you both for coming.
Thank you for having us.